Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the On Air Podcast. I'm so excited about this episode, and I'm feeling so good. Because of course Beyonce's album is now out. Act Two, Cowboy Carter. Wow, we've been counting down this whole entire time for it, and it's finally here. Not gonna lie, it took me like a week to digest it and get everything down, but we got this. We got this. It's an amazing album, and I just had to really just go back and listen to it over and over again and figure out which tracks. They're all amazing tracks, but I just had to figure out which tracks were for me, like the ones that really stood out. And we're just gonna do a whole entire review from my favorite songs to the hidden messages to the importance of the album. That's what today's episode is basically going to be about. We're going to dedicate it to Act 2, Cowboy Carter. So I wanted to begin with some of the favorite songs. So some of my favorite songs off the album would definitely off the bat is going to be Bodyguard, Riverdance, Jolene. Jolene is a cover, but she redid it. Like, it's the same format, but she changed how she did it. Like, Dolly Parton did it in a way, asking Jolene not to take her man, and Beyonce did it in a way of saying, bitch, if you take my man, I'm gonna fuck you up. And I live for that. I definitely love that. That was a different perspective. And I love Levi's jeans, flamenco, Yaya. Tina Turner is all over Yaya. Tina Turner and Lil Richard is all over Yaya. Tyrant, Two Hands to Heaven, Sweet Honey Buckin, Flamenco, and Two Most Wanted. I don't know if I repeat anything, but those are just my favorites of the entire album. But the whole album is a bop. Like, when I run it back, I normally run it back from start to finish, like from American Requiem to Amen. So the surprise collabs that also came with this album were they were surprising, but it felt right. It's like I was gagged, but I was like, oh, okay, boom, like, yeah, that happened. But I'm like, okay, got it. And they included Tanner Adele, Brittany Spencer, Tierra Kennedy, Rena Roberts, and they were all on B's rendition of Blackbird by the Beatles, which came out in 1968. And Linda Martell and Shabuzi are featured on Spaghetti. And then you have Willie Jones singing on Just for Fun. And then Shabuzi also makes another appearance on Sweet Honey Buckin' for his like that. Yeah, you just listen to Sweet Honey Buckin', like that. That's a great song. Like, they gotta play it in the club. If they don't, then something's wrong. So Linda Martell, that was great to see her because she's very important because she was the first black woman to release a country album in 1970 called Color Me Country. So Beyonce had to put her on there. Like, that's just, and that was a pivotal part of this whole storyline behind the country music. But running it back to my personal opinion on the album, the engineering was perfect. It was basically Renaissance Part 2. Now, many were saying that they are connected. They said Renaissance and Cowboy Carter are connected. They even said that, some producers that worked on the album said that Cowboy Carter was supposed to be first and then Renaissance was supposed to be after that. And if you listen to the last song of the album, track 27, and that's going to be Amen, and just let it play out, and it has like this galactic, like, DVD, like, it's like one of those old 2000 DVD CDs that You play it and it's I forgot the name of it. It was like HXX or something like that, but it had that big brassy sound like somebody's landing from space or whatever. And then let that play out, and then it's going to be I'm That Girl. If you play I'm That Girl or play the full album of Renaissance directly after you play Cowboy Carter, it's gonna be like, wow, like it felt like you went to a multi universe. It felt like it was the Chitlin circuit slash rodeo, and then you go to the disco ballroom. Like it's fucking amazing. Like wow, she created an entire storyline of the rodeo slash Chitlin circuit, and she does it in a way like that you can imagine the entire the entire story. Like each song was inspired by a Western film, she said, but I believe some of those songs were inspired by her own life as well as her mother's life and stuff. This album was very, very personal to her, with her being country. Beyonce's from Houston, her mother's from Louisiana. So this album, of course, is very, very country and very black. It has, well, I would say it's a mix of genres. The basics of it is country. Like it's country for sure, but it also plays around with jazz and hip hop. So I like how she does this gender not gender binding genre bending type of situation, and I think that's really monumental because that shows your diversity and your creativity and doesn't make you boring. Like this is how you stay relevant for 27 years in the music industry and continue to be praised for your art and your talent because you know how to keep the ball going. And so far, the achievements that have came with this album would be her having the number one song on the top Billboard Top 200, the number one album, the number one album on the Billboard Top 200 with Cowboy Carter. This is also her eighth, yes, number eight studio solo album to go number one. So all of her solo studio albums have went number one, from Dangerously Loved to Cowboy Carter. That speaks a lot. That speaks a lot into her career, and I'm so proud of her for that, and I love that. And she's also the first black woman to have a number one country album on the country Billboard charts. The country Billboard charts came out 60 years ago, and Beyonce is the first black woman to have a number one country album. Not even just the song with Texas Hold'em, but the album. That's absolutely stunning, absolutely sickening. Ugh, this album is just a fucking masterpiece. I haven't been obsessed with an album this bad since I want to say since Renaissance for real, but I would have to say Self Titled. Self Titled was that album that really took me there. Self Titled was what made me fall in love with Beyonce. Like I always knew about Beyonce, but Self Titled was the one that really got me through a lot of shit in high school, and it helped me through my depression, and it really helped me find myself as an individual. And Cowboy Carter definitely does that as well. Like I'm from Philly. I'm born and raised in Philly, but I have a lot of family in the South. So I'm used to hearing like a lot of the southern tunes that she used and the instruments and the ad libs and the way the songs were done and the way they were sung. I'm used to hearing that because those old Negro spirituals that were sung in in slavery time, or those old Southern songs that's used in black churches, I hear a lot of those ad libs and a lot of those bridges and everything in this album. So it kind of like took me back home to North Carolina. North Carolina is my second home. We love North Carolina. It's gonna be like that for the rest of my life. But I want to dive into a couple of songs really quickly, double back real quick. So Oh, they're all so good. They're all so good. But Bodyguard. Oh, that's what I forgot. Bodyguard. That's another one of my favorite songs. Bodyguard was really cool. Bodyguard, I would say, is Cuff It. Yeah. Bodyguard is definitely Cuff It because Bodyguard has this Bonnie and Clyde feel. She said, I will be your bodyguard. I'll be your Cavalier. If you let me ride shotgun. Like it's very much like it has like a California like ba 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 ba. Like it just make you want to just drive down the road with the windows down, or like in a rooftop car with a cola or a nice cold lemonade. Like you feel me? That joint is like hot. I love Bodyguard. It's just a nice little summer romance upbeat song, and I think that that's gonna be slamming this summer. That's definitely a summer hit. This album is definitely summer coded. It could work for any season, but it's definitely working for the summertime. And there's a lot of spoken, not a lot of spoken word, but there's some spoken word pieces. So right before you play Jolene, there's a song, there's an interlude, I would say more so, called Dolly P, and that's Dolly talking about, oh hey B, like remember that girl that she was talking about with the good hair? Well, I went through the same situation, except her hair was Arbery. And then it goes into Jolene. Jolene was an absolute killer. I expected it, but I was not expecting it from the point of view that Beyonce did. Now, when Beyonce said, "I'm still the Creole bitch from Louisiana," I don't think she was talking about herself. I don't think she was singing from the perspective of herself. I think she was more so singing of the perspective from her mother, because her mother's from Louisiana. So her mother was also cheated on, unfortunately. So I believe she made Jolene as a love letter to her mother, how she felt, or how her mother at least told Beyonce how she felt when she was going through that stuff. Of course, your mom is always going to tell you about that type of stuff. You have those conversations with your children or conversations with your family members as you're growing older. So I think Jolene was from her mother's perspective. Spaghetti, fucking fire. Beyonce is the greatest rapper of all time. No shade to Nicki Minaj. We love Nicki, but Beyonce is a singer who can also rap her ass off. Ape shit. Spaghetti. Top two rap songs or rapping styles. I said it. I'm not taking it back. I said what the fuck I said. Moving forward. Miley Cyrus and Beyonce, I never thought I wanted to hear them so bad. And I never thought that they would sound so good together, but the two most wanted, a beautiful, beautiful Bonnie and Clyde part two. Like Bodyguard, I thought Bodyguard was Bonnie and Clyde, but the two most wanted, this one is definitely the one. Like Miley Cyrus, I love this for her. I didn't see her on the album at first. I'm not gonna hold you, but then when I heard it, I'm like, okay, this is a track perfect for her. Perfect. It was a lovely, lovely duet. They didn't outsing each other. Beyonce didn't outdo her. Like Beyonce knew how to tone her voice down to Miley, and Miley did her thing. Like they have these high notes that they hit at the end. Till the day when they say till the day I die, and Miley hit it so beautifully. But Beyonce's, that the one that she hit right before it went off, gave me chills. I cried to the song when I first heard it. It's fucking amazing. Please listen to it. And then Post Malone is also on the album on Levi's Jeans. And that song is very flirty, very much like put the coin in the jukebox and like, let's get this shit popping. Like it's very, very cute, very flirty. Like grinding with your loved one is just, that joint is a vibe. And then there's another spoken word called the Linda Martell Show that goes into Yaya. Yaya is definitely, definitely Tina Turner coded, and that's why I was saying I think that she transported us to the Chitlin Circuit. So if no one doesn't know, the Chitlin Circuit were a source of venues in the Deep South for black artists because we could not perform at white venues. So they were a source of all black venues created for us, and it was called the Chitlin Circuit. And with Yaya, I saw that I saw the vision, like with her starting the song off saying "Hello, girls," and the crowd responds, "Hello's Beyonce," and then she says "Hello, fellas," and then the fellas say "You're pretty swell." So she, by the way of the lingo, the language, she took me back to like the 1950s 40s with that type of feel of like how they was that southern hospitality, because he said you're looking pretty swell. Like niggas don't say that shit nowadays. So I just loved how she transported me to the Chitlin Circuit. I can just see her on stage with this old school microphone, and then she's singing yeah 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 yeah, you got me moving baby, got like, it was just like, oh, just rock and roll. I've loved it so much. And she said, "We want to welcome you to the Cowboy Carter Act 2 in a rodeo Chitlin Circuit." So the whole entire album is basically like transitioning from a radio perspective of the Chitlin Circuit rodeo show that she's performing at to the in-person version, if that makes sense. So what, mind you, we're listening to this from on our phones. So it's just like, but you have to have that imagination, like, because there's also a spoken word track called the Smoke Hour that's with Willie Nelson, and that is, he said, "Welcome to KNRTY Texas Radio," and it's flipping through the stations with all these old school songs. So that's how I know it's transporting back to the radio, and then the in person at the Chitlin Circuit, then the radio version of like, if the Chitlin Circuit was being broadcasted, like, it was just fucking phenomenal. It is phenomenal. Truly, truly genius. And a lot of people don't even know what the Chitlin Circuit was. So I was proud that she really informed them about that. And then what was also pretty cool was the tracklist cover. When she posted the tracklist cover, it had a 1940s feel to it. It was like these "come one, come all, come see Beyonce performing, yeah yeah, da 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 da." This featured Dolly Parton, this Willie Nelson is on this, and Willie Jones is on this, and it had that 1930s feel of a cartoonish poster, and those were important because those were the way the advertisements were made for the Chitlin circuits at that time frame. And then the album cover itself is basically a tribute to rodeo culture and a rodeo queen. A rodeo queen was basically a woman who represented what rodeo culture is, and that's why she has that sash that says Cowboy Carter. And the horse is going, if you peep, the horse is going one way while she's facing the other way. And then the flag is not the stars on the flag are not fully shown. So I think it was that the whole album cover is a message in itself. And the horse is going to the left, but she's facing the right. So I believe that there was a meaning behind it. Like, we have to go back to the past in order to understand the future. Because if you go back and stay with me now, so if you go listen to American Requiem, she starts with "Nothing really ends. For things to stay the same, they have to change again. Hello, my old friend. You can change your name, but not the ways you play pretend. American Requiem. Them big ideas are buried here." That's why I think that motherfucking horse is going one way. Because she's acknowledging, like, okay, like, this is yes, everything is here, but if we really think about it, nothing really ends. Everything just keeps changing, and it's just a re-edition of what happened before. Think about, for example, The Great Gatsby. The Great Gatsby has been told several times. Titanic, a poor, like, these two young people in love. They have to go through trials and tribulations. Romeo and Juliet. Like it's several different examples I can say, but that's just the first one I thought off the top of my head. So I love how America Requiem is basically, and that's also a requiem is an basically a song putting the dead to rest, like laying it to rest. So when she said American Requiem, so basically here is a song putting the ghosts of America's past to rest, or more so Black America's past to rest. But we're digging it up and we're going to tell their story, but from our perspective, while also paying tribute to them. And then at the end, the last track is called Amen. And on in those lyrics, those were very important too. I know I'm on to something. Those lyrics are very important too because she says, "Hold up, damn, what did she say?" Okay, 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 okay. She was saying, "Mercy on me, have mercy on me." Bone chilling in itself. She said, "We'll say a prayer for what has been. We'll be the ones to purify our father's sins." American Requiem. And this time she doesn't say those big ideas. She says those them old ideas are buried here. Amen. I think it's like I'm trying to explain it the best way possible so that you can understand it. But I think you really have to listen because when I was listening to it, I was watching the lyrics because I'm an audio I'm an audio learner, but then I'm also a visual learner. So I'm watching the words as I'm listening to it. And I'm like, wow, like she's telling a whole entire story. So that's why I was saying that Chitlin Circuit thing. I'm just imagining her again. I'm imagining her at this show, and she's like telling history, and the different acts are coming on stage and performing, while also giving this monumental thing of what country music is and what it can be now and what it can be in the future. Beautifully done, beautifully done. I haven't heard an album this good in a long time. But like Eternal, well, so far since it's 2024, Eternal Sunshine and Cowboy Carter have been my top two albums that came out of this year so far, and we're only in April. We'll see what everybody else has to have in store, but that is just my best bet. And Blackbird was also imperative because it was about a group of 9 black students who faced discrimination in 1957 when enrolled at an all-white school. Now the Beatles did a cover of the song as I stated, but um, her version was important because she had those all-black singers that I named earlier on it. And then again, like Linda Martell being on the show, it just I don't know. I think we have to really stop putting a limit onto Beyonce's talent. I think we really, really do have to stop putting a limit on her talent and stop putting a limit on everyone's talent and ideas. Like, if you stay in this box, you're forever going to be the normal, stereotypical person. You don't want to be normal. You want to stand out. You want to do things that are going to be monumental and that are going to be so bizarre that it's going to just shake up everything and just be like, damn, like that shit was crazy, but it made sense. Like a organized chaos type of thing. And there were Beyonce has faced a lot of backlash with this album. And of course, being the person who she is, she's going to face that backlash of, especially from white people saying, "Oh, she shouldn't be in the drama." But like I stated before, you bitches wouldn't even have the genre if it wasn't for us. The banjo was an African instrument that you guys now use in your genre, in this genre, in your music. Something created by black people that you use. But okay, it's whatever. It's totally fine. There's so much hit, and there's still stuff like a week later, and there's still stuff that I'm discovering off of this album, it's still a whole bunch of stuff, and I just don't know. Like, well, tour. Okay, switching gears really fast. So there's supposedly a tour going to be happening for this album. So if you want, as I stated before, I went to the Renaissance World Tour 4 times. Will I be going to this tour multiple times? Yes, I will. Because it's important. One, I want to go. I have to go to a show in North Carolina because North Carolina is my hometown. That's one of the country states that I know. I want to go to Texas because I love Texas. And then I want to go to New Orleans because I feel like that would be a fun show. But I really so my top four. So the way I plan to go to 4 shows again. So the way we go would be Philly, North Carolina, Texas. I mean Houston, and then New Orleans. I have to go to those shows. I have to go to those shows. And the way I see the show being set up, so I think the same stage setup will happen, but it would be instead of it being called Club Renaissance inside the circle. So if you can go online and look up the Renaissance World Tour stage, the inside of that circle where that the runway goes into is called Club Renaissance. I see that being Club Cowboy because that's Sony Music have been doing these Club Cowboy parties in other countries, and Beyonce does her music through Sony Music, so that's how you know it's like a legit party from that they may have signed off on or whatever. So I'm expecting something to be popping up in the U.S. pretty soon, to promote the album. So imagine that section being Club Cowboy because they started that last year. They had Club Renaissance parties, and then the whole time we had Club Renaissance as a VIP section for the tour. So just saying, I don't know, maybe Club Cowboy it is coming as a VIP section or the name of the tour. But I see that section being like the rodeo portion. And like how I said, that she was taking us on a journey of the rodeo slash the Chitlin circuit and with the different performers and the opening acts and the side characters and everything and these stories that she's telling because each song was inspired by a Western film or her own personal stories. I see that whole thing coming to life again. So I wouldn't be surprised if she used the same stage setup but changed a couple of different things. You know, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Wow. This album, everything from 16 Carriages to Texas Hold'em, it's all so beautiful. And if anything, this should be very inspiring to people to not only be risk takers, but to just not give a fuck. I've been getting back to that myself of just not giving a fuck what people have to say about me and the way I dance, the way I do my projects, the way I speak, the way I act. Of course, I'm gonna be respectful, but don't ever apologize for feeling how you feel or feeling doing what your heart's desire. You know, you have to do what you got to do for you. You have to do what you have to do for you. Get your art out, project it, tell the world about it, inspire others. That is our job. Well, not our job, but as performers and performing arts people, that is our job. Some people are just made to be in the audience or watch, and then others are made to, you know, be the teachers of certain lessons. I thank you guys for tuning into this episode. Let me know about your thoughts on Cowboy Carter. Do you think Beyonce is going on tour? Do you think it'll be a big tour? Or do you think it'll be a miniature tour? Do you think the rumors are true? Do you think there's a deluxe version coming? There's already a remix that she just released for Texas Hold'em, and it kind of has like a twerk bounce feel to a New Orleans type of feel to it. So, you think there's more remixes coming? Do you think there's other features coming? A deluxe? Like, let me know. A live album? Will the visuals finally be coming out? Because the visuals I forgot to say this. The visuals, actually, I was saying if you played Cowboy Carter first and then Renaissance, if you watch the lyric videos, the lyric video for Amen seems as though it's a stage play and there's a set of doors. And then if you watch the I'm That Girl teaser, Beyonce walked through a set of doors into a universe. We don't know where she went through. And if you look at the Amen, the last track of the album, Amen, the lyric video on YouTube, that same set of doors is there. And we believe that she walked into the rodeo with that. This woman's mind, yo. That joint is just so crazy. Like, oh my goodness, the Easter eggs in this entire era between Renaissance to now is just crazy. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. I love y'all. Let me know your comments on Apple Podcasts as well as YouTube. Even shoot me some DMs or texts or whatever, and let me know what you think about the album. And remember, stay elevated.